Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Box, the Technical Trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, and it's the 27th of July. It's weekend webinar time. Pretty eventful day this week. Strong thrust to the downside, followed by Friday's reversal. But was it just short covering? Let's take a look at the indices, and let's show you what is up. I want to give you an idea of what these look like on hourly charts. To really drill down a little bit better, it's easier to see. I'm going to do a lot of hourly chart stuff today. If you look at the S&P 500, since the low in May, we had a 1, 2, and a long 3, 4, I think. Now, some people are counting it a little differently. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's just say that's the case. 1, 2, 3 waves down with a wedge or a base. What we have to find out is whether this is going to be a base that reverses things. We go back above 5,500 and run, or we're not done yet, and we got another wave down that takes us down to at least 53.40. A lot of people I know are looking for that. I say the jury's still out. We're not sure yet. If we break down that far, my opinion is we may go a lot deeper than that. On a surprise down to 5,200, that's possible. So we have to be real vigilant going forward. Obviously, we're day traders, so we trade the intraday patterns. Here's the S&P, and here's the NASDAQ 100. Similar pattern, a rollover 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people I know think this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's possible that the wave count is correct that way. More importantly, when you look at a longer term trend line, connecting these lows going way back on the daily chart, there, and there, and we're at the bottom of that channel on a longer term basis. And this is the perfect place for the market to bounce. Will it do so? Well, we're going to find out looking at some of the other technicals. What really strikes out for me is while the indices like the NDX and S&P were making higher highs, you may note that my talk to you guys over the last couple, 3 weeks was that this was not being confirmed by small caps or transportation. In particular, transportation was having a really tough time. Look what's going on now. As this came down in 3 waves and then bounced, the other indices, NDX and S&P, made lower lows. This broke out, did not confirm that. And when you get a non-confirmation, particularly from the transportation index, basic Dow theory forecasts formulations are that this is a positive divergence. I believe so as well. When you throw the IWM or small caps in, you'll see quite the bullish pattern. A big run up the week of the 8th, a big run up, taking it from 200 to 227. That's amazing. Week or so, week 6, 7 days. And then down, up, back up, we have an ascending bull coil, which augurs well for a move to 235 if we break out. Now, at the tail end of the very bull phase, whether we are going much lower at some point and starting a new bear market, as some of my colleagues are thinking, I'm not ready to commit to that, not yet. But I will say that small caps at the tail end of every bull market I've seen in the last 50, 60 years, I've been following the market. Usually small caps run and run crazy, and that's the blow off we're seeing. And the reason for that is simply that growth stocks, large cap stocks, medium growth stocks have all had big moves already. So people are looking for opportunities, they're looking for ideas, and it always turns to small cap stocks. With interest rates potentially coming down, that also helps small caps in the IWM, and that's probably some of the reasons for this. So with positive divergences in the IWM and the transportation index, although this hasn't made higher highs. Neither has the IWM, but it's much closer to doing so. Next week should be pivotal in my mind as to what the market does. When you look at a lot of the individual stocks, you'll see a lot of incredible charts to the upside, and you'll also see some of the NASDAQ 100 generals that are just not doing well. Take a look at some of the underlying indicators we talked about. The oscillators have not gone much lower, and the reason is because the technicals underlying this market are rather strong. Now, we did get that pullback that took it from plus over 200 to 0. Now we're bouncing around. Now, either we break out and run back up to 250, or this is a 1-2, we come down into the minus 100 or 200 range and have a much deeper retrace in the market. It's too early to tell, but I'll keep you appraised of what I see going forward as usual. The percentage of stocks above their 40-day moving average is now 2 out of 3. It was at one point almost 72%. And you can see the pattern now. Here's your daily. You can see the big resistance zone up there. But this is a nice pattern developing on the chart itself for the indicator, which is, indicators to me are much more, you can't really follow the patterns as much as you can follow overbought, oversold. Now, what's going on with the VIX? You can see the VIX exploded from a low of around 11 up into the 19 range, and it did it in just a week, 10 days. But it hasn't taken out any declining top signs just yet. Here's what we're seeing. Right up to it and backed off. Now, if you get through that, then the market's probably coming down much steeper. And so this is kind of a critical time for the market in many ways. Now we'll look at the NASDAQ generals, what they're doing, and you'll see stocks that aren't that strong. Some that are, some that aren't, but take a look at this. Apple's dropped from 237 to 214, 23 points, about 10% in the last couple of weeks. It's below initial support and below the intermediate trend line, but above the 50-day and secondary key support. That comes in around 205, 209, 210 zone. So we're going to see early next week if we keep it on an hourly chart, which is what I want to do for all of these. Here's the hourly chart for Apple. You can see the 1, 2, 3, 4. And what concerns me is either this is a 1, 2, 3 wave corrective, they'll build a little base and break out, or 2 out of 3 times this pattern is not a base, it's a bear wedge. What does that tell me? It tells me there's still some downside vulnerability, and that if we crack, all it takes is one good day to the downside. This market can take a dive for, as much as 3 or 4 days or more. Secondary support in this one, 207. If it breaks down underneath 214, that's Apple. Amazon had a pretty steep drop from 201 to 177 over the last 2-3 weeks. And you can see your declining top sign is there, a very similar pattern with a V bottom and a platform. So it augurs well for the potential of this dropping out to the upside. If it doesn't, and it doesn't get to that red line, which is the 50, so we have a double resistance level on Amazon right about, I would say, 184-ish. Get above that, you got a good chance of testing 189 to 192.3 range. Google. Hourly chart shows a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially, and we've taken out a couple areas of support here and there. This double, triple bottom right there is big. We tested that, it bounced. Any move under 165, 5.5 could send this plummeting into the mid to low 150s. But for now, it's a little bit short-term oversold. I would expect to see at least a bounce back up towards, even if we are in a downtrend, but back up towards maybe 177.8, something like there. We'll see. Microsoft, obviously, hit a peak, rolled over, did a 1, 2, 3. This could be a 4. Just like I'm telling you on the others, we have support at 418. We have a declining channel, a little bit steeper angle. A rally back to 433, it would be normal, 432.3, but a breakout could send it up to 445, 48. A failure here could plummet it down into the low 400s and even test this low at 405. So 405, Microsoft, 405.07 would be your next target if it rolls over in another wave. If the market tanks, watch for that to happen. Netflix broke the channel, could not get back to resistance here, is in a new downtrend. It looks like this. There is some support at the low for the week. 621.70. You get below that, you're looking at a possible 605 to 595. So we need, what we're going to need to do is get this one, and this is weaker than the rest right now. Meta, 1, 2, 3, and a bounce. But again, if it's a 4 or 5 waves coming, we have one more wave down, it could be fast and furious. Key support now, 455, 442. Downside projections are in a 420-25 zone if we get a 5th wave down. Careful. NVIDIA, look, long term, the channel's broken. Lateral price support broke. The worst part about this is it got up twice to that level, couldn't get through. If NVIDIA breaks these lows here, if I see NVIDIA below 111.5, I'm going to be looking for 105.6 quickly and maybe a lot more. This is what I'm seeing. The possibility that NVIDIA tanks near 100 is very real if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's just a 3-wave corrective and a V bottom with a platform, then you're going to have to take out 117.5 to get it going. And then you have resistance and your target at 124.4.5. Next week is very critical. Now, the B bottom we're seeing in a lot of stocks like NVIDIA, and then the platform is promising. Doesn't mean, it's 2 out of 3 times we will get a move to the upside. But if we don't, and it fails quickly, particularly say Monday morning, we could get a rollover of some proportions over the next 2, 3, 4 days. Not going to be pretty unless this thing gets going soon. And finally, Tesla, which on an hourly basis broke support and came down and did this. That would be a bear coil. It isn't good, folks, unless it breaks to the upside. Got to get back over 235.37. But this triple bottom at 214.15, if broken, I think is likely to lead to 200 and 193. Those are your next targets. That's a kind of a detailed look on an hourly basis of the hourly, the hourly charts on the NASDAQ generals. And there's others to talk about. You could throw A and B in the fray, same chart. Intuitive surgical is something we don't talk about much. That's actually better than some of the others. But the semiconductor stocks in particular, not good. Here's the SMH. This is what NVIDIA looks like, so because NVIDIA is a major component. We've had what looks like potentially, I think, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the V bottom and a big one, an hourly chart, very big hourly move, 10 points in an hour, and then a sideways coil. If we break out, we're back up to 260. If we break down, I think it's very conceivable if we get down in the 220 range. So 20 points lower in SMH, that wouldn't be good for the market, that's for sure. And that would break some key support as well, and long-term trend lines. So yeah, kind of an important week next week. That's semiconductors. Here is the financials, and they're looking better. And this is one of the things that's encouraging to me. Financials held the trend line, broke out to have this little, on an hourly basis, flag. That is bullish. The bull flag sitting on top of the breakout, on top of the moving average on your hourly charts. What about biotechs? Well, they lead the way. Look at this. We had a breakout, a run up to the channel top, a pullback to retest, and now another run. We're almost at the all-time highs in this. But no, that's not correct. Way back when we had much higher levels. Yeah. What we did do is break out through there, pull back, and then break out again. That's what it looks like on an hourly basis. Not far from the all-time, multi-year high, excuse me. We'll see. And then there's always LABU, which is the other ETF I follow for that section. Very similar. You can see resistance up in that zone. So that's a look at the underlying technicals and the NASDAQ generals and some of the ETFs we follow closely. There's some others. Look at oil. Oil, I told you, did not look good to me. It looked toppy and head and shoulderish. it broke down. I'm not going to be surprised to see oil, if it breaks down below here, step into that low 70s or even 70. Big support around 71. That would be my next target. And Friday was a negative day for that index. It's oil. What about gas? Well, gas has been hammered, and although we made a nice swing breaking out here on Boyle, 6-7 points, it just got hammered, and it's at all-time lows ever. At the same time, KOLD, the bear ETF, has been dynamite. Look at this move off the June low. About 33.94 to 75. More than doubled, about 125% move. Pull back down and bounce right back up again. So right now this is as bullish as it gets, but there's some overhead resistance coming up. Gold, well, and silver, we had a pretty big pullback, but you remember a week ago I said we're at the top of the channel. Don't be surprised to see a pullback retest. It was pretty ugly. The GDX has dropped from 39.32 to 35.90, and it's sitting here near support. If it gets any lower, you're going to test the trend line around 35. A break of that level won't be good. And silver is even worse. Look at this drop. I know silver is more volatile than gold, but look at the move off the low. 22.75, more than doubled to 47 in a 5-way move, and then failed and rolled over. But more importantly, breakdown gap, running gap, and these are, you get 2 gaps in a week on the downside on silver, and it's never a good thing. Secondary support, which may get tested soon, 30.5, 31. Not pretty at all. So, we've seen oil and gas, gold and silver, the SMH, semiconductors, and biotechs and financials. Got some longs to talk about, got some shorts to talk about. Let's go over alphabetically my list of longs. ABUS is good as it gets for a junior biotech, running from $1.70 to $4 in a beautiful multi-wave move. It's at the top of the channel, but momentum could carry it to 4.5 3/4. ADMA, very similar and even stronger. How about this? In October of last year, this was 3. Recently, it was 14. And it doesn't look done yet, does it? I don't know how far they take this, but momentum target is 15. AEHR reverse, we put a swing on it, it popped to the target and pulled back. It's a very orderly retrace, and it's doing it on low volume. Underlying technicals have held up well, and it did bounce. Your stop now is under 16.5. Your targets now are at 20, 22, and 24. AEM, I'll show you a few gold stocks. One of the leading ones is Agnico Eagle, but you can see even though the gold came down and the ETFs don't look good, this has held up very remarkably better. And it's forming a flag up here. Now, I wouldn't say buy it, but I'd say if gold did move and reverse, and you're looking for something to participate in, this is as good as it gets. And now my forecast would be about high 80s, 15 points. AEYE exploded on Friday. This is one of my old favorites. Breaks out of a base, pop flag, pop wedge, and it kept going. And now a large one formed after a move that took it from 4 to 27. Of course, you're going to get some consolidation, but that's a clean breakout Friday with record volume. I'm looking for a move now low and mid 30s. AGIO in the biotech sector, pop, pull back, retest, hold the moving average, retest, and then finally breakaway gap, which pulled back to retest the breakout point, and then spiked vertically. And a falling wedge, and now it's edging higher. Targeting 60. AORT, a nice solid medical device company that's taken basically a move from 12 to 29, and it's not nowhere near breaking down, is it? My target is a test of this double top. It comes in around low 30s. APEI, educational stock, broke out and has been in a rising channel ever since. It looks like it could extend to 25 and 30. APH, that's a short stock right now. It should be. It's broken down. ARLO broke out of a base, retested, created a new rising channel, wedged, spiked through it. Nice little falling pattern. Target 19. ASTS, a swing, spiked, fell back and blew out, and now it's on a rising channel. Last couple of days been very good for it. It's gone from 13 to 19.5. Strong, overbought, but great momentum. AVP breaks out of a base, retests, and starts a rising channel, which has taken it essentially from 3 3/4 to 11. Where can it go? The next target is 13. BCRX, long downtrend, V bottom, breakout, wedge, pop. Breaking through some resistance here. My next target near 9. BLBD I've been talking about for a year with that inverse head and shoulders, and then this pullback at 14 has led to a move that quadrupled it to near 60, and now consolidating, maybe breaking back out again. 60 and 70 are your targets going forward should this extend. I'm highlighting Bristol Myers this weekend because I know the company very well and I've been following it, but I thought after forming a mini base, this was a major breakout for it. And I'm now looking for extension to 55. CDLR, with a really strong move, 17 to 25, coiled, popped, flagged. Right now it's pushing 26 and a new all-time high, targeting 28 and 31. CDNA, inverse head and shoulders. This is a tech trader swing. It broke out from the wedge and it's been stair-stepping its way higher. Minimum target 21, eventually 27.8. CECO Environmental, beautiful long-term rising channel. It's now at the bottom portion of the major channel with resistance and target at 33.34. Colgate-Palmolive. That's right, folks. New all-time highs. Look at this chart over the last 20 years. Steady as she goes, huh? But recently, broke out of a long consolidation base, has moved from high 60s to over 100, targeting 110 and 118. CLBT, software stock that broke out of a base, retested, and just kept stair-stepping its way higher with a flag, a larger flag, and now a breakout, targeting 16. CORZ breaks out of a base, goes vertical, and then has a rising flag, which tells me the next target is 12.5, 13. Friday's action in COUR warrants your attention. Record-setting volume of 26 million shares, exploded it 44%, and broke it out with a breakaway gap at resistance with the next target, potentially a test of 12.5. KOYA, I believe, is on the verge of a breakout of this pattern and a move into the 8.5, 10.5, eventually 14 range. CRBP broke out in January and been rising in a steady channel all year, but it might be at a point where it broke out enough and it's accelerating enough where if this breaks this pattern, you might see a move, and a dramatic one, for 15 to 25 points. Maybe a takeover. Kinetics, breakaway gap, consolidate. This is an old tech trader swing. It's gone from the mid-20s to the mid-50s, just based on what I'm seeing here with this flag that's developing right now, targeting 62.3 and 70. Criteo, breakaway gap, pop. This is also a tech trader swing. It went from 31.2 to the mid-40s. My target now, 49.50 and 53.4. Carvana just keep going up. The rising channel says the target is upwards of 190 to 200. DRS. This aerospace company just keeps climbing its channel, although it is near the top of that channel. It looks like it's accelerating. The angle here indicates higher levels at 30, 31. DSP, break out of a base, retest, and then stair-step your way higher. Now breaking through some key resistance. I'm now looking for 15. DYN breaks out of a base and stair-steps its way higher. The beautiful rising channel has a target at high 50s. EBS, tech trader swing, popped, wedged, and just kept running. We've done great with this one. My new target, 16. In the gold sector, AGIO has been one of the stronger little junior golds, and it's hardly backed off. So in the gold, if gold goes higher, I'd be looking for 22 and 25 on this one. ELYM exploded, pulled back, started to break out. We put a swing on it last week. It's now flagging. What I need to see is above 960. Then your targets are 11 and 13.5. ERJ, Embraer, the South American airline manufacturer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at these patterns, the way it's developing. Now looking for high 30s. EVER in a tremendous rising channel since August of last year, so it's up now a full 12 months from 6 to 26. Now I think it might accelerate into the low to mid 30s. Junior silver stock EXK with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now a pullback. If silver moves, this is a $6, $7 stock. FEIM put a new swing on it last week. It exploded and pulled back, but it's holding beautifully. Still looking for 16, 17. Flowserve, been a dynamite chart ever since it formed an inverse head and shoulders and broke out. Rising channel, coming up to a 6-year high. Next target, 56.7. FTI breaks out of a base and keeps running. This oil and gas equipment stock continues to press higher. 36 target. GEO. I gave you guys a tech trader swing back here when it broke out. It's nothing but higher other than this consolidation. Recently made a new high near 18, 1801, and pull back. Next target is 20. Junior Bio, Geron, breakaway gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, and then a pullback. So it's a 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. Fifth wave coming, could take it to 6 3/4, 7. Watch for it. GVA, the big construction firm, breaks out of a base, retest, and then stair steps its way higher, looking for 73. HIMS also break out, retest, pop. Looks to me like a long 1, 2, 3, 4 with a fifth wave target in the high 20s. Swing trade, HROW, breakaway gap, pop flag, rising channel, extension target 29. IMMR breaks out, retests, and pops. Looks like a 1, 2, 3. May need some more time on a 4, but I think the fifth wave takes me to 16, 17. INOD breakaway gap, rising channel. We've seen a lot of these. This looks higher, mid-20s. INSM with a monster gap in a rising channel. Now looks like it could be a $90 to $100 stock, perhaps on a takeover. INVA, breakout, spike up. Target, 20, maybe 21. Jemiah flyer, pop, falling wedge, pop, falling wedge, pop. Yeah, this could be a wedge or some sort of consolidation. Your next target is 18. That's right, 18. Kiniska breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap and pulls back, but it's set up for more. Looking for high 20s. LBPH finally breaks out of a 6-month base, surges sharply, basically runs from mid-teens to 40. Big move. And now the flag. Once you break out, 50 and 60 could be targets. Layered Superfoods, LSF pops, falling wedge, pops, smaller wedge. Break out another wedge and then a pop. So multiple waves up, finally settles into a longer wedge type consolidation. I need it to hold 360, 70. Your next target are 6 and 9. 3M with a monster day Friday on earnings. It just exploded vertically for 26 points from 102 to 128. Closed just right there, telling me we go even higher. Now looking for 140. MYO, beautiful base, breakout, a little bit of a pullback reversal on Friday. I like this stock for move to 6.5 and 7.5. NRIX, this biotech 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 way move, but I don't think it's done yet. Should it get above 24? The target's 30. NVAX breakaway gap in a big one, a rising channel, met my targets and then pulled back down. It's in vogue for another move back to 22. Asts breaks the base, retests, spikes, falling channel, pop, another little mini falling wedge. Don't think it's done yet. Target 20. Pays, beautiful rising channel, but then the pullback wedge that broke out. Rising flag says higher. 6, 7, and 8 targets. Puma on Friday after hours exploded. They're selling one of their divisions for a lot of money. The extension target is 9.5. PCT, a large, multiple wave down, 5 waves down. V bottom platform and breakout. I put a swing on it. I'm looking for 9 and 12. impinge will break away here and a tech trader swing in the 60 range is triple to 180. It looks like it could be a $200 to $250 stock. Powerful. Palantir, well, the rising channel recently broke and it pulled back to test support right there. I needed to hold there, but eventually your targets could be 30 and 33. PaySafe in a beautiful rising channel as well. It's still stepping its way higher with a target now of 24. RDW, red wire comes out of a big base and surges and backs off, but this one looks like it has momentum to 9 and 10. REVG broke out of a base platform that still stepped its way higher. I've been highlighting this for months. Next target is 32 and 35. Rivian breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap and backs off. We put a swing on it. And mid target number 1 already and pull back. Target number 2 for me, 21 and 24. RNA breakaway gap. This was also a great tech trader swing. After it broke the downtrend with a gap and some big volume and flagged, I put a swing on it in the 7 range. It's now gone to 48. And folks, this might be one of the charts of the year, as the target now is 65.70 zone. Root was my trade of the year. When it broke out here at 14, I gave you a swing. It went from 14 to 86. It retested it and came down on a falling wedge, held secondary support, back up to the highs again. Now another falling wedge. You get through the triple top, we're looking at 115.20. RSI, beautiful rising channel, positive momentum, might accelerate 13 target. RVMD, Revolution Medicine, ever since its spike low last October, it has gone from 15 and tripled to 47. My target, mid-50s. SCRV had a monster week. The last 5-6 days, it's gone from 2 to 16. It has momentum enough to make it even higher. Just keep an eye on this one. How about Sprouts Family Markets with multiple waves up? Broke out Friday. I can see the stock trading to 100. SGHT, V-bottom, 5-wave advance, multiple month consolidation, breakout coil, pop through, test, and reverse. But I'm looking for 11. SLQT, an interesting low-priced insurance broker. Check out this chart. Big gap in here, but we went through it and into it. I now think we're going to see 6 and 7. SMMT breaking out, possibly ready for a move into the high teens. SOI with a major explosive move. Put a swing on it. It's extended to target number 1, target number 2, 18. SPIR broke back out and it's flagging here. This is going to be a new tech trader swing on Monday. I like the look of this. I think we're going to see 19 and mid-20s. SRTS has recovered phenomenally from its big drop that saw it go from in a year from the low teens to $2. Finally reversing. It's now 6.5, looking for 8 and 10. Teva, a beautiful long base breakout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move, or 4 waves out of the base. My targets, if it breaks out here, 19 and 22. TKNO, with an exceptional couple weeks, has literally gone from 1 to 4. I wanted to show it to you. It's at key resistance up here. It's likely to pull back. If it breaks out, you might see 5 or 6 on it. TPC, this construction company, is on the run. Multiple year highs being tested. If this one should get through 27.8, you might see low to mid 30s. TWST in the biotech sector, very strong and at multiple year highs. You can see up here, should it get through that, you might be looking at something 10 or 15 points higher. Recent IPO, ULS has gone vertical in a rising channel. 45-degree angle, looking for 49. BCRX, long-term rising channel, targeting 44, support 36. BIRC, very similar. It's thinner, but I think you're going to see a test of 1920. Viking finally broke out of a multi-month consolidation with a breakaway on Thursday and a little follow-through Friday. Keep your eye on this one. This is either going to take a run to 78.80 or get taken out. BRRM, a beautiful rising channel for over a year and a half now. It's still going, although it is at the channel top. It might accelerate into the mid-30s. WGS Tech Trader Swing Pop coiled is continuing to press higher. I'm now looking for 39. Zap exploded, wedged, exploded again. Now it's wedging again. There's going to be a fifth wave up. If we do, we're looking at 19 and 25. Wow, that could be big. Keep an eye on that one. And finally, Zeta. No, it's not fine. Zeta, one of my swings that I gave back in here, has done great. It's gone from 12 to 22, but 21 and a half. It looks like it could be 26.7 shortly. And finally, Zim V, with a big coil breakout, breakaway gap, and flag. It looks to me 24 and 27. We'll go over a few shorts. There aren't many, but I did want to show them to you. APH, massive top, breakdown, and a rising wedge resistance. Good or bad markets, this looks bearish. Now, obviously, it's an easy stop if it takes out 65. But if it doesn't, and the fifth wave's coming, I would say something like high 50s could be your target. Or less. Bath and Body Works, massive top break, came down and bounced, but that was about it. After that bounce, this is what we're seeing. A declining channel with a target now at 30. BR breaks a massive top and just keeps drifting lower, won't even bounce. I'm not going to be shocked if this thing gets down into the low 40s. CEG breaks the top, snaps back and fails and rolls over and forms a bear wedge. Next target down would be a big drop into the 135.40 range. CMG after the 10 for 1 split is looking pretty ugly, but this has technically been in a bear trend. Let's see. Yeah, for about several weeks now. Here's your daily chart. Not looking good, folks. Although it's a little oversold, sorry. DoorDash continues to look ugly. It's at support, so it might bounce, but if it breaks, mid-80s is the target. Disney's been a tech trader swing short since 107. It got down into the high 80s. If it doesn't hold here, I think it's likely to see 85.6. FCX, head and shoulder top and breakdown. Any snapback might be shorted. Might be telling me the copper is ready for lower levels. 42 is your next target, followed by 40. FND, floor of the core, breaks the head and shoulder top, comes down, it forms a wedge or flag in here. Yeah, of course it can break to the upside, but if it doesn't, the targets are 85, 78. INFA is looking as ugly as it gets. Big uptrend breaks down here. We put a bear wedge on it. That's a tech trader swing short. Another bear flag. A big rollover from 32 to 21 and change. Probably needs to be covered down in this range, although my next target will be 19. INMD's been in a downtrend for almost 3 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's coming down again, it looks like. I don't know how far they can take this down, but low teens wouldn't surprise me. JBL, massive rounding type top. It's at support. If it breaks here, looking at 99 and 85. MDB breaks down wedges, breaks down bear flags. Yeah, the way this looks, we could be looking at 185 from 253 right here. ONTO in the semiconductor group, as that group turns weaker, this is broken down. I could see 171. I'd like to see it bounce first. Qualcomm also, look at the head and shoulders on this. And then a breakdown of support. If it bounces weakly on lower volume or with red bars, I would then look for 158. Signet Jewelers, the tech trader swing looks ugly, and I think it goes lower. My targets are 75 and 66. And finally, Yelp has been in a downtrend for a while, but we noted the breakdown and rising wedge. It finally broke down as well. Next target, 32 and 3, and then 30. That's a look at the longs, the shorts, the underlying technicals, the indices, and the major ETFs and NASDAQ generals that we follow closely. Folks, a lot to learn, a lot to glean from. Please review this a couple of times to get some clear definition of where you think your individual stocks are at where they want to be, what the targets are. If you have any questions, always feel free to ask me. For now, this is HB signing off, wishing you a great rest of your weekend. Bye now.